When the ball tipped, it was just another game on the schedule. Ionescu's fadeaway found the net early. Sabally and Stewart added pressure. But while the Liberty played with intensity, Indiana had someone else. Someone who sees the game before it happens. 8:29. Clark threads a pass to Mitchell on the cut. Bucket. Then, she does it herself. Pull up, perfect form, money. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, but suddenly, the Fever weren't just responding, they were leading. And she was at the center of it. Every possession ran smoother when she touched the ball. It didn't always end with a score, but it almost always ended with control. When Clark hit Boston in stride for the layup, it wasn't just another assist. It was orchestration. The kind that makes defenders hesitate just long enough to get burned. Then came the stretch where control turned into command. She banks in a floater, gets back on defense, watches her team get a steal, times a pull-up three with clockwork precision, then calmly steps into a deep three and buries it. No celebrations, no theatrics, just a player doing exactly what she's supposed to do, only better than everyone else on the court. The Liberty fought back. Stewart with a finger roll, Johannes with a corner three. But the scoreboard couldn't hide the shift in energy. Clark had changed the temperature in the building. With 43 seconds left, another jumper, her 14th point of the quarter. And as if scripted, she rested on the final possession, watching her teammates close it out with a block and rebound. The buzzer sounded. 31-28, Indiana up. But this wasn't about the score. It was about what just happened. Caitlin Clark didn't take over the game. She rewrote its rhythm and made everyone else play in it. The second quarter didn't begin with fireworks. It began with tension. Clark missed her first look, a step-back jumper that grazed the rim, but she didn't flinch, not even for a second. Cloud floated one toward the basket, but it rimmed out. Stewart tried to bulldoze through the paint, only to get whistled for a charge. Liberty were frantic, Fever were patient. At 8:24, Caitlin Clark finally ignited the fuse, a step-back three. Network Indiana reclaimed the lead, 27-26. But the body language said more than the scoreboard ever could. While New York scrambled, Caitlin started dictating rhythm. A rebound here, an assist there. Then came her clockwork pull-up at 3:25, a 20-foot dagger that broke the deadlock and pushed Indiana ahead again. The Liberty fired back. Free throws, floaters, putbacks. Ionescu nailed a deep three. Stewart pushed into double digits. But Clark, she wasn't reacting. She was reading the floor like a veteran novelist edits a manuscript, effortlessly. At 2:23, she struck again. A deep 27-foot triple. No emotion, no smirk. Just a silent declaration. You're not catching us. Still, New York kept clawing back. Stewart went 2 for 2 at the line. Harrison got a second-chance bucket. But every small Liberty push was immediately answered. Not always by Clark, but always through the rhythm she established. And then, the exclamation mark. With less than a minute to go, Clark flew in for her 5th defensive rebound. Moments later, she soared to block Burke's shot at 104, sending a clear message. This wasn't just her quarter, it was her standard. And with 43 seconds left, another deep three attempt from Clark. This time a miss, but by then it didn't matter. Because this quarter wasn't about stats. It was about pulse, it was about pace, it was about presence. And Caitlin Clark owned all three. The third quarter opened with Caitlin Clark pulling up from deep, a logo three that rimmed out. But Benija Laney Hamilton wasn't having it. She came right back, slashing through the lane, laying it in, and drawing the foul. Suddenly it was game on. The Fever tried to build momentum, Aaliyah Boston securing rebounds like her life depended on it, and Clark threading no-look passes to Kelsey Mitchell, who knocked down a jumper to tie the score. Yet New York had an answer for every blow. Sabrina Ionescu lit the court up with a filthy crossover and a step-back three, her 17th point of the night, snatching the lead back. Then came Jonquel Jones with back-to-back buckets inside. Her presence in the paint was overwhelming. Clark responded again, launching a fadeaway three with pressure in her face. Bang! Her third triple of the night, giving Indiana a sliver of hope. Laney Hamilton crashed the glass, grabbed her own miss, and scored the putback. Liberty just refused to back down. Then it got gritty. Mitchell hit another running jumper. Clark pulled off a wicked behind-the-back move before feeding Boston for a hook shot. Indiana looked alive, but every time they got close, the Liberty stretched the gap again. Courtney Vandersloot dished dimes like a magician, while Stewart hammered in another jumper with that stone-cold expression. Just before the buzzer, a pull-up three from the wing, fading, leaning, praying, and it splashed. Her 21st point. The Fever were still breathing, but as the third quarter ended, the Liberty still stood tall. New York had weathered the storm, and Caitlin Clark's firestorm wasn't enough to burn them down. Not yet. The fourth quarter unraveled into a nightmare for the New York Liberty as the Indiana Fever executed nearly everything with surgical precision. Breanna Stewart tried to ignite a spark with early free throws, but her second attempt clanged off the rim, setting the tone for a frustrating stretch. Moments later, Caitlin Clark's bad pass gave Liberty a golden opportunity, but it slipped through their hands just as fast. Sabrina Ionescu momentarily lifted New York with a steal and some clutch free throws, yet the Fever answered right back. Mitchell drained a jumper off a Boston assist, and Stewart's turnover on the other end allowed Indiana to pounce again. Boston's dominance on the boards gave her team repeated second chances, and she made it count, finding Mitchell for another shot and eventually scoring herself. Even as Stewart and Ionescu attacked with layups and jumpers, Indiana's relentless pressure wore them down. Clark bounced back from early mistakes with a huge steal and dime to Mitchell for a back-breaking mid-range jumper. Later, she assisted Hull on a beautiful cut to the basket that put the game out of reach. The Liberty desperately tried to claw back, but missed shots, bad passes, and cold shooting doomed them. Mitchell sealed it with a deep three that shattered any last hope, and despite Stewart's best efforts at the line, the Liberty watched their season fall apart possession by possession. Indiana closed it out with poise, punishing every Liberty misstep. The Fever didn't just win, they dominated the final minutes, leaving the Liberty dazed, defeated, and knocked out. And just like that, the Liberty's hopes vanished in the blink of an eye. No buzzer beater, no miracle run, just cold execution from the Fever and silence from a stunned New York squad. Caitlin Clark didn't need to go supernova. She simply played smart, precise, and ruthless. If this game proved anything, it's that the Indiana Fever are no longer just a rebuilding team. They're here to break hearts and end seasons. Smash that like button if you felt the intensity, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Was this the moment New York's dream died? Subscribe for more WNBA breakdowns like this, because it's only getting crazier from here.